Hello friends, in this lecture we'll be discussing about the eating disorders. Try to keep it very simple and to the point as far as possible. That is more important from your MCQ's point of view. So before we start, basically what's being asked in your exams is the clinical picture, right? Whether this is anorexia, bulimia, binge eating, avoidant restrictive disorder, right? So how to differentiate them is the main thing that we need to learn, right? So how to differentiate them? Before we move ahead, let us see few questions that if you keep these questions in mind, it will help you to differentiate these disorders and you will be able to answer the MCQs appropriately. So whenever a question comes on eating disorders, you need to ask few questions. Is the individual having low body weight? Yes or no? Right? Does the individual have intense fear of weight gain or disturbance of body image? Are there episodes of binge eating? And are there compensatory behaviors of purging? Purging means to remove the unnecessary things. That is the literal meaning. So, compensatory behaviors are done like self-induced vomiting, use of laxatives, diuretics, enema. And one more is, what is the reason the individual avoiding food or doing excessive compensatory behaviors, right? So whether there is a weight loss, yes or no. Second, does the patient have or the individual have intense fear of weight gain and body image concern, yes or no. Are there episodes of binge eating, yes or no. Are there compensatory behaviors after binge eating, yes or no. And what is the reason that the person is avoiding food or doing excessive compensatory behaviors? So if you remember these 6 questions, then you will be able to understand the disorders more properly. So let us go to the first disorder, that is anorexia nervosa. So what are the characteristics? There is restriction of energy intake, right? They'll reduce the food amount. Now it could be amount, the frequency with which they are eating. For example, somebody eating 4 meals a day now comes to 2 meal. Somebody eating 4 chapatis a day now come to 2 chapatis a day, or reduction in calories, right? So there has to be restriction of energy intake, which leads to less weight. So the first question is, there is a weight loss? Yes, right? So how much weight is less weight? So basically it has been defined as BMI, body mass index, is basically weight upon height in meter square, so kg per meter square. So that is, if it is less than 18.5 kg per meter square, it is called less weight. Or in children, if it is below the 5th centile, how do we measure this? There are growth charts that Indian Academic of Pediatrics have made, and you plot it as per the child's age, and you see there are percentile lines. So you see where does the BMI fall. So if it is less than 5th percentile in children and adolescents, or in adults, if the BMI is less than 18.5 kg per meter square, it is called as less than normal weight. Or it may even be considered if there is a significant weight loss, like 20% weight loss in 6 months. But first criteria is the most important that can be asked in exam. The BMI of less than 18.5 kg per meter square, right? Now, if you see the severity in DSM, it is given by grade, like mild is greater than 17 to 18.5 kg per meter square, moderate is 16 to 16.99, severe is 15 to 15.99, and extreme is less than 15. So it's easy to remember, right? 17, then you go basically 1 like 16 to 17 but 0.1 less. So 16 to 16.9, 15 to 15.99, and less than 15, that goes mild, moderate, severe, and extreme or profound. Now, as the severity increases, the mortality or the morbidity because of medical complications also increase, right? So the first question that we saw was, is the weight less than normal? Yes. Second, does the patient have body image concerns or weight gain concerns, in fear of weight gain? Yes. So two things, right? There is weight loss, less than normal weight, there is body image and weight gain concerns, right? Then the second part comes, the other question, right? Are there episodes of binge eating? What we are reading now, actually there could be and there could not be. We'll see that in anorexia nervosa. Are there compensatory behaviors? That again could be yes and no. We'll see the types, right? And why the patient is avoiding food? Because there is fear of weight gain. So this is the reason. The fear of weight gain is why the individual is avoiding food. So weight loss, yes. Body image concern, weight concern, yes. Avoiding food because the individual does not want to cross a specific weight because of body image concern or weight concern. Compensatory behaviors, there are two types of anorexia nervosa, right? So let me see here. Yeah. So there are two types of anorexia nervosa. I'm skipping to this slide directly for this particular explanation. One is restricting type, where there is reduced intake of food. That's the only way, right? So in restricting type, there will be no binge eating. Because binge eating is not there, there will be no compensatory behavior like purging. While in binge eating purging type, as the name itself explains, so binge eating, yes. Purging, yes. So the question comes then, how do you differentiate this from binge eating or bulimia nervosa? So always remember, in anorexia nervosa, be it restrictive or be it binge eating purging, the differentiating criteria is weight loss less than normal, right? So this is the basically differentiating criteria. So weight loss less than normal, body image concerns, yes. Why does the patient avoid food? Because doesn't want to gain weight because of body weight concerns. Now whether binge eating is there or purging is there or not, that depends on the subtype. If you talk about anorexia nervosa restrictive type, only the intake is reduced, so there is no binge eating or purging. If you talk about binge eating purging type of anorexia nervosa, both are present. But when we are talking about anorexia nervosa, whatever type it is, the weight criteria is the most important criteria. The weight is less than normal, BMI is less than 18.5 kg per meter square, and in children, the BMI is less than 5th percentile, right? So that is, so here now you can make it why I have written both yes and no in anorexia nervosa. So what happens is, there are medical signs because of starvation, like there will be amenorrhea. Why this happens? Because when there is significant starvation, there is a depression of the gonadal axis, and because the gonadal axis is depressed, the hormones and those will be dysfunctional secretion, and that is why that leads to amenorrhea. This you have to remember, because previously, as you can see here, previously amenorrhea used to be a criteria for anorexia nervosa. But what happened? Because of this, a lot of males, I mean most of them, all males, premenarchal girls and women who are on contraceptive pills, right? They were missed from the diagnosis, because obviously amenorrhea is not there in all these three, right? So they had to remove this criteria of amenorrhea from the mandatory criteria. Obviously, there will be lanugo called neonatal hairs, because it is so regressed. There is no fat. So the lanugo hair develops that will help to retain the heat, because the fat is lost. Then there could be hypothermia, dependent edema, and bradycardia. Right? You did not remember a lot in detail. You just remember regarding amenorrhea, because that criteria has been dropped now. Right? And now we talk about changes in DSM-5 and ICD-11 compared to their previous edition. So definitely amenorrhea, one criteria we talked. And the second one, At DSM, at this explicit criteria that 85% of the expected weight by clinical judgment, right? So they had this criteria that 85% of expected weight, say less, there should be to call it as a low BMI, but that has been removed, and basically they have focused on specific BMI 18.5 kg per meter square, right? Now, what are the complications? As I mentioned, endocrine abnormalities. Two things happen: reduction in gonadal excess. So all these sex hormones, basically follicular stimulating, luteinizing, and all those hormones, later on estrogen, progesterone, they will be decreased. And increase in HPA excess, hypothalamo pituitary excess, right? Why? Because there is a stress. So as a stress response, there is increase. So there will be increase in cortisol, which is a stress hormone, right? So reduction of sex hormones, increase of cortisol. There is poor sexual development in adolescents because again hormonal dysfunction, dysregulation is there, and low interest in sexual activities. The other thing is peculiar activities or peculiar behavior regarding food that is also seen in anorexia is like, they, for example, they'll start counting calories, avoid fried foods, avoid bread or something. So these kind of peculiar behavior will be there. Decrease frequency. They'll eat in small amounts and very slowly, so they don't have to eat much. And obviously they are secretive about it and deny, no, I don't think I have any issue, this is what I want, and I don't think eating less is such a problem, right? So anorexia nervosa, weight loss, yes. Fear of weight gain, body image, yes. Why do they avoid food? Because they don't want the weight to be gained. In restrictive type, no binge eating, no purging. In binge eating type, binge eating and purging both are present, but in both the weight is less than 18.5 kg per meter square. Complications we have seen, medical complications, the DSM changes and ICD changes, we have seen that amenorrhea criteria has been removed and 85% of the weight wala criteria has been removed, and they stick to particular BMI, right? This, and it mostly is in adolescent females, early adolescent females. In later adolescence, there are chances of developing other disorders that we'll see. And it is a misnomer. Why? Actually, anorexia means decreased appetite. But here, the appetite is not decreased. They are willfully reducing it. Hence, it's a misnomer. Right? Treatment, obviously, when there is significant loss, a lot of medical complications, then hospitalization is required. Why? Because we need to settle the individual first medically stable. So whether rehydration is required, nutritional intake is required, how to avoid the other biochemical complications, that is to be addressed first. Then the main two therapies are CBT with the individual, and there is a family therapy Maudsley approach. These two things you need to remember. When the child is young, not amenable for CBT and those kind of things, then you go with then the family therapy becomes more important. But otherwise, CBT and family therapy both are used. SSRIs, if there is any anxiety or depressive symptoms. Cyproheptadine, they say that occasionally they use to increase weight, right? But as a psychiatrist, I would say that it is not commonly used, especially in children. It is more of a therapeutic approach along with proper refeeding starting, along with a dietitian, that how many calories intake should be there so that the weight is gained. But if we try to increase the calorie intake suddenly and a great amount, then that itself might lead to complication.